Nothing and no one will ever hurt you the same way again. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. Not because pain no longer exists, but because you've stopped giving people the sharpest tools to wound you. Carl Jung understood this. Pain is not just what happens to us, it's what we allow to live inside us. It doesn't just cut the skin, it shapes the mind. And if left unchecked, it becomes our identity. The truth is, most of the pain wasn't in the event. It was in the meaning you gave it, in the access you allowed, in the story you told yourself, that you were weak, unworthy, broken, or forgotten. Jung said, "A man is not hurt so much by what happens as by his opinion of what happens." And that opinion is yours to control now. You don't need to be chosen to feel worthy. You don't need praise to feel strong. You don't need to be understood to feel real. You reclaim what you gave away, your silence, your loyalty, your empathy, the constant need to be good enough, to be kept. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. Because the more you abandon yourself to protect others, the more you expose yourself to harm. So the shift happens. You stop asking, why did they hurt me? You start asking, why did I give them access to my softest places? Real power begins here. Not in avoiding pain, but in becoming unshaken. Not because you shut down, but because you woke up. Not everyone deserves your vulnerability. Not everyone earns the right to affect your mood, your day, your identity. When you embrace that, you stop flinching. You stop reacting. You stop explaining. And in that stillness you find your shield. Not made of armor, but of clarity. Once you know who you are, nobody can touch you. You're not afraid of rejection because you no longer beg to belong. You're not afraid of betrayal because you don't overinvest in the inconsistent. You're not afraid of being alone because solitude feels like home. That's the power Jung spoke of, the integrated self. The part of you that has looked at its shadow and said, I see you, but you don't get to run my life anymore. You outgrow the need to be chosen. You outgrow the need to be understood. You outgrow the need to chase peace in other people. Because nothing and nobody can hurt you unless you allow it. Your energy is no longer open to the unqualified. Your time is no longer spent defending your worth. Your presence is no longer free. They feel it now, the weight of your absence, the silence of your healed wounds. Not because you're cruel, but because you've closed the door that never should have been open. You used to think boundaries were mean. Now you know they are medicine. You used to think walking away was failure. Now you know it is self-respect. You used to think softness without limits was kindness. Now you know it's self-destruction. And this clarity changes everything. You no longer fight to prove your value, you embody it. You don't explain your distance, you own it. You don't negotiate with chaos, you step away from it. Jung said, I'm not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Now you choose to become untouchable, not in arrogance but in alignment. You choose to protect your peace as if it were sacred. Because it is. It is no longer a transaction. It is not earned through approval or kept by walking on eggshells. It is yours. Built, not borrowed. Integrated, not inherited. Most people confuse safety with surrender. They think keeping the peace means staying silent when disrespected. They think kindness means never having boundaries. But until you stop abandoning yourself in the name of connection, you will keep meeting the same kind of hurt in different faces. Emotional sovereignty begins here. You stop giving discounts on your energy. You stop explaining what should be obvious. You stop begging to be understood and start noticing who tries without being asked. And the ones who don't, you let them go, because you are no longer afraid of being alone. You are only afraid of betraying yourself again in the name of being good. Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And to become that person, you must walk away from what feeds on your silence. Healing isn't loud. It's not in grand gestures. It's in the text you don't send, the call you let rain, the conversation you don't start. Not from anger, but from awareness. Awareness of who you are. Awareness of the patterns you've broken. When awareness becomes your baseline, you stop living in reaction. You start living in response. You choose who gets access. You choose what gets your energy. You choose you. Not the old you that bled for approval, but the new you, quiet, certain, and free, because now your value is not negotiable. Your peace is not for sale. And nothing and no one will touch that again. The most expensive thing you own is not your time. It is your energy. Time passes whether you waste it or not. But energy, once drained, takes far longer to recover. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And owning your energy begins with that acceptance. It is knowing what fuels you and what depletes you. Most people treat their energy like it's endless. They give it to anyone who asks. They let people interrupt, overstep, and drain them because they confuse availability with kindness. But kindness without limits is not kindness. It is self-betrayal. Your energy shapes how you think, how you decide, how you show up in the world. When it's low, you tolerate things you shouldn't. You agree to things you don't want. You stay in places you should have left. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Your energy is what fuels that why. Without it, even the smallest challenges feel impossible. Owning your energy means becoming intentional. It means choosing where your attention goes and protecting it from what doesn't deserve it. Not everyone should have equal access to you. Not every situation deserves your reaction. Not every conversation is worth your mental space. When you stop giving energy away carelessly, you start to notice the difference between what feeds you and what feeds on you. Some people will resist your boundaries. They will call you distant. They will call you selfish. They will miss the version of you that never said no. But that version of you was running on empty. That version of you was burning out quietly. Machiavelli observed that power is preserved through control, not control of others, but control of yourself. Your attention, your responses, your presence. Owning your energy is not about isolation. It is about curation. It is about surrounding yourself with people and environments that align with who you are becoming, not who you were forced to be. And yes, this means walking away from familiar chaos. It means refusing to step back into cycles that drain you, even when they feel comfortable. Because comfort can be a trap. Familiarity can disguise itself as safety. But if it costs your energy, it is costing your life. Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." The pain of owning your energy is losing the people who only valued you for your constant giving. The reward is gaining yourself back. When you protect your energy, you also protect your clarity. You stop making decisions from exhaustion. You start making them from alignment. You stop reacting to noise. You start responding to truth. Your energy is not just for surviving, it is for building. For creating the life you actually want. For pursuing the things that feel alive in your hands. And here's the truth. When you own your energy, you will intimidate those who rely on your exhaustion. You will disrupt the dynamics that depended on you staying tired. You will make some people deeply uncomfortable, because your boundaries make their control impossible. But the ones meant for you will not be threatened. They will meet you in that space of respect. They will bring energy as much as they take it. You are not here to be a constant source for those who give you nothing in return. You are here to live fully charged. To choose where you shine. to give in ways that expand you, not empty you. This is what it means to own your energy. It is not about building walls. It is about building gates, ones you decide when to open, and for whom. Because once you truly own your energy, you stop chasing what drains you. You stop explaining why you're tired. You stop apologizing for protecting the power that keeps you alive. And you finally realize the life you want isn't built from how much you give away. It's built from how well you guard what you need to grow. Distance is not always disconnection. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is clarity. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." Strategic distance gives you the space to find that understanding, without the noise of constant contact. Most people fear distance. They think it means rejection, that it kills relationships, that it makes them irrelevant. But the truth is, distance reveals what proximity hides. It shows you who values you when you are not always available. It shows you who was there for you, and who was only there for the access. Machiavelli observed that power often comes from what you withhold, not from what you give. When you step back, you create space for others to reflect on your value, and reflection often breeds respect. Strategic distance is not ghosting. It is not punishment. It is a choice to preserve your peace while observing the truth. When you are always near, people get used to you being there. They stop noticing the effort you make. They stop recognizing the stability you bring. But when you step away, the absence speaks. It tells them what your presence was worth, without you saying a word. Nietzsche said, "Invisible threads are the strongest ties." Strategic distance tests those threads. If they remain, the connection is real. If they snap, it was never secure. Distance also resets your perspective. It allows you to see the patterns you couldn't see up close. It shows you which dynamics were mutual, and which ones were quietly taking from you. It gives you the emotional room to decide, do I want to continue this connection as it is, or does something need to change? And sometimes, it's not about others at all. It's about you. Distance gives you space to hear your own voice again, to reconnect with what matters to you, without being drowned out by constant demands and expectations. Carl Jung also said, "Solitude is for me a fount of healing which makes my life worth living." Strategic distance is a form of solitude you choose, not because you want to escape life, but because you want to live it on your own terms. Of course, some people will take your distance personally. They will call you cold, selfish, uncaring. But often, that reaction reveals more about their dependency than your detachment. Those who respect you will not demand constant closeness. They will understand that space is not the opposite of connection. It is part of it. Distance also protects you from overexposure. When you are too available, people stop listening to your words. They stop valuing your presence. But when you return after stepping back, your voice carries weight. Your presence feels deliberate. And your boundaries are clear without needing to be explained. Strategic distance is not an absence of care. It is an act of care for yourself. It is the conscious decision to manage your presence so that it remains meaningful. It teaches people how to treat you, and it teaches you how to treat yourself. The right people will meet you in that space of respect. The wrong ones will demand more than you can give. And that difference is the point. Distance makes it visible. In the end, the strength of strategic distance is not in what it removes. It is in what it reveals. It shows you where to invest, where to hold back, and where to walk away entirely. Because sometimes the most powerful move you can make is not to push harder, but to step back and let the truth come to you. Words are tools. They can build or destroy. They can open doors or close them forever. Most people use words to fill the air. They talk to avoid silence. They speak before thinking. They reveal more than they realize. Carl Jung once said, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people." Measured words come from knowing yourself first, from understanding your intentions before you open your mouth. When you choose your words carefully, you control the narrative. You shape perception. You protect your energy. Machiavelli wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." Measured speech is that wisdom in action. It is saying the right thing at the right time, not because you were pressured, but because you were ready. In conflict, measured words disarm aggression. The person who shouts expects you to shout back. When you don't, they lose their rhythm. They are left with their own noise. In negotiation, the one who talks most loses most. They reveal their priorities. They expose their weaknesses. They give the other side the map to win. Measured words are not about withholding truth. They are about delivering truth with precision. Every sentence must have purpose. Every statement must move the situation forward. Nietzsche said, "Silence is worse. All truths that are kept silent become poisonous." Measured words are the antidote to that poison. They give the truth shape and timing so it can be heard. The discipline is in resisting the urge to fill every pause. Pauses are powerful. They make people lean in. They make them wait. And in that waiting, your words gain weight. When you master this, you never feel the need to oversell your point. You don't repeat yourself to be understood. You let the clarity of your words stand without apology. Measured words also protect your relationships. You stop saying things you'll regret. You avoid promises you can't keep. You communicate boundaries without drama. They protect you from manipulation. The less you reveal in haste, the less someone can twist your words. This practice requires patience. It requires comfort with being misunderstood in the moment, knowing that time and action will prove your meaning. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Measured words are a reflection of that becoming, a sign that you no longer speak to please, but to align. The loudest voice is rarely the most respected. The voice people remember is the one that speaks when it counts and says only what is needed. You don't need to flood the room with sound to lead it. You only need to speak so that silence feels incomplete without your words. That is the precision of measured words. They don't just fill space, they change it. A lasting impression is not made in the moment you arrive. It is made in the moment after you leave. Most people try to be remembered by doing more. They speak the loudest. They stay the longest. They push themselves into every conversation. But attention is not the same as impact. Attention fades. Impact stays. Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." Your legacy is built on consistent action, not on intentions you never acted upon. The most powerful impressions are often the simplest. A single moment of truth, a single act of integrity, a single choice to stand firm when it would have been easier to bend. Machiavelli understood this well. He knew that one decisive gesture could outweigh years of words. One calculated move could define how history remembers you. A lasting impression is not about showing all your skills. It is about revealing the right skill at the right time. It is about restraint, holding back until the moment matters most. In conversation, this means leaving people with a thought they cannot shake. Not flattery, not empty agreement, but a truth that lingers in their mind, shaping how they see the world. In work, it means letting your results speak louder than your voice. Not needing to remind others of your effort, because the quality of your outcome makes the point for you. In relationships, it means leaving people better than you found them. Even a small act of kindness, if genuine, becomes unforgettable. The right word at the right time can echo for years. Nietzsche said, "The most common lie is the one we tell ourselves. If you pretend, the impression will fade. If you are real, it will last." Lasting impressions require you to resist the urge to control how others see you. You cannot dictate memory. You can only influence it through consistent behavior. People will remember how you made them feel more than what you said. They will remember your composure under pressure, your steadiness when others were losing control, your clarity when the path was uncertain. This is where controlled presence, strategic distance, and measured words all converge. They build the foundation so that when you act, your action carries the weight of everything you didn't do before. Some people are unforgettable not because they were always there, but because when they were there, they stood for something rare: integrity, certainty, authenticity. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The same is true for your legacy. Do not chase the impression. Live the impression. When you leave a room, let your presence linger in the conversations that follow. Let your words be repeated. Let your actions be referenced. Let your absence be noticed. The art of leaving a lasting impression is not performance. It is the byproduct of living with discipline, with clarity, and with purpose. And when you master it, you will not need to demand respect. It will follow you. It will outlast you.